might not be a technology, it might be different field entirely from IT, but you to have this foundational knowledge about the project you're managing. That's very important as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Fuad, for sharing that as well. What I hear is you need to ensure you
Yeah.
have, welcome to the project management experience, where we will be sharing real life experiences from project managers on how they have been handling their projects day to day. And today we would be having on our episode Fuad, who has been managing projects for at least 6 years now. And we are so excited about what would be coming straight to you on this channel. So stay tuned and let's dive in. Hi, Fuad. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Project Management Experience, where we will be sharing real life experiences and particularly your life experience working as a project manager for, I think, 6 or 7 years. Really excited to have you. Thank you for your effort and for giving us your time. So, first of all, let's meet you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you for having me. My name is Fuad Olukola, and I've been working as a project manager for over 6 years now, and I've been in the information technology and telecommunication industry for over a decade. So I've been managing projects in the IT industry and also the telecommunication industry. I have an MBA and also I'm a professional Scrum Masters with others ID certification, which reflects my commitment in delivering projects with excellence. Yeah.
Amazing. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
we are so excited to have you here. Sounds like project management has been a very interesting path for you to be there for over 6 years now. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of projects that you have worked on so far?
Yeah, so basically, I've been working on different IT projects. Specifically, for the past 2 years now, I've been working on Microsoft solutions because my present company, they are a major partner with Microsoft. So I've been working with different Microsoft solutions, which includes Microsoft 365, cloud
Hmm.
security, E5 security deployment, and
Hmm.
also aside the Microsoft
Hmm.
solutions, I've also worked on some network design projects, disaster recovery projects, and also working on some enterprise architecture projects. So I have various IT projects that I've been working on. And prior to coming to Canada as well, I've worked on some telecommunication infrastructure projects, which has also exposed me in terms of managing projects in the telecommunication industry.
Wow, you definitely have a wide range of experience in project management. Quite
Yes.
interested in knowing what kind of tools you have worked with as a project manager for task management and maybe for communication or collaborating with stakeholders in your field.
So thank you. So I would say in terms of the tools, I would say that's actually depending on the organization that you work with. So depending on the organization, depending on where you are at
Mm,
that time. So I've worked with different tools, and also the projects you manage also determines the tool that you're going to use. So, but in summary, I've used Jira to
mm,
manage some agile projects. I've used MS projects to manage most of my waterfall projects. I've also used SharePoint to manage in terms of collaboration. So I've used SharePoint, I've used MS Project,
mm,
Jira, Confluence. Also, there's another
mm.
ticketing tool called Autotask, which is also an effective project management tool. And also, you might be interested to know also that Excel, as easy as it is, also we use it in managing projects, even complex projects. So I've used various tools in managing different projects. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Fuad, for sharing that. Would you say then that project management practices are the same all over the world?
Well, I will say in terms of project management practice, that's basically it's an answer of yes and it's an answer of also no. Because I would say yes because in terms of the methodology that is being used. We have different project management methodology, which is widely accepted across globe. So in terms of using waterfall, using agile, so that is accepted all over the world. But you can use waterfall to manage projects that are straightforward, projects that are easy in terms of their scope. It's clear. You can use waterfall to manage project like that. And in terms of managing project, that the scope is not clearly defined, and that are time and material project. It's always advisable to use agile to manage project like that. And so I would say that is consistent across the world. But in terms of when I say no, I will use the word maybe the cultural differences now. So the communication style, the decision making
Mm,
process, and all that. That's going to be different in terms of the culture. Also, I would say in terms of the
true.
regulatory and legal variances, so different countries have their different regulatory board and agency, and the way they operate, that's a bit different. And that part, I would say
Mm,
it's different across globe. And industry standard as well. That can actually be in the middle. So you see some companies maintaining a particular industry standard, they follow some industry standard, but you see some companies they don't follow what other organizations are actually following. So that's also part of it. I'll also talk about the market dynamics. So, the economic conditions, the market trend, and customer preferences can also differ
mm.
globally. So, and lastly, I would say risk. Yeah, maybe risk factor. So the perception and tolerance for risk vary among different cultures and different environments. Yeah.
Fuad, for that insightful information and that response. And from what I hear, project management at the core of project management, you actually have the same methodologies all over the world, but then there are different dynamics and nuances that come into play depending on where you are, whether you're in Canada, US, Nigeria, any country at all. Then you have, some of those external factors come into play. Really appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, I would like to know, while working on projects, what are the different kinds of stakeholder personalities that you've had to work with? And can you share maybe one funny or, excruciating experience you had with a stakeholder and how you went about, solving that issue?
Well, thanks so much, Cindy. In terms of stakeholder, I will say there are different stakeholders that you come across when you're managing a project. There are some stakeholders that they actually want you to, keep them engaged in the project. You need to ensure that you keep them informed in about everything that happens in your project in terms of the decision making. You have to make sure that they are aware of the decision you're making. So I call those project the stakeholders. I call them the engaged stakeholders because they want you to keep them engaged most times. There are some other stakeholders that I would say, I call them uninvolved, right? Like uninvolved stakeholders. You know, Stakeholders in that category, you just need to try to understand their perspective, in terms of how you want to communicate with them and show how they can be involved in your project. They don't really want to get active. They don't want to be engaged in your project. What they just want to do is like fine, they want the project to have been completed, and that's all. That's what they want to hear. But you still need their help in along the line during the phase of the project. So there's a way you keep them engaged. Could be that when you send an email to them, maybe a monthly status report or a bi-weekly status report informing them about the project. You don't necessarily have to bring them into your meeting. So I call those I call those stakeholders uninvolved. So there are some stakeholders also that I would say that they are micromanager, right? They really want to be involved in every detail uh, of the project. They want to understand what is happening they may be struggling with, delegating and all that, but they want to ensure that they are aware of everything that is happening in that project. So,
Mm.
stakeholders like that, what I try to do is I keep them informed, regularly, sometimes twice in a week and sometimes weekly about the performance of the project, the progress of the project, where we are. I have to keep them informed in every decision that I'm also making. So those are stakeholders that are also very, very critical to my project. So there are some other stakeholders that I would say they are um, influential, right? So very influential to your project. They are very significant to your project, and these maybe are your SMEs that are working with you in your project. So I've had a scenario where while I was working with one of my SME is a very very major stakeholders. He is also the implementation lead for that project, and you know an issue happened, and towards the end of the project, we were supposed to carry out some implementation. And my implementation lead informed me and said, "Oh, I'm actually going on leave for 2 weeks because I need to attend to my wife's health." This is a family decision. This is a family issue, and as a project manager, when it comes to health, I also try to make sure that I prioritize that. And we're about completing a project of 1 year. I will just have 2 weeks left, and my implementation lead said is it needs to take 2 weeks off, and I don't have any choice other than to get to my manager as well, for us to be able to get a replacement at that particular time, just for the person to complete the project. So there are different stakeholders, there are different scenarios that come up when you're managing projects. So you as a project manager, you just have to have this stakeholder metrics during the initiation phase of your project for you to, plan your project critically, plan your stakeholder communication, communication management.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing that. Have you had a stakeholder that you um were mandated to have to take the stakeholder to lunch? Because I've had different experiences
Yes.
from project managers saying, "Oh, for me to satisfy this stakeholder, I had to keep taking him to lunch, or I had to keep buying him, some McDonald's to get him to actually support me on my project."
Yeah, it happens
Anyway,
really. It happens. I agree with you. There are some
mm,
stakeholders like that. Yeah, those. Yeah.
all right. Thank you so much for sharing that piece as well. I would like to find out
Yeah.
now. Now, what would you say is the main element of succeeding in a project management role? It could be a skill, it could be some
Yeah.
training, what would you say?
Well, I will say that the major element in terms of, I will use the word skill that a project manager should have. I will say it's effective communication. You have to be a communicator
Mm,
for you to be able to manage projects. You need to communicate
mhm,
from the initial phase to the closing phase. You communicate all through. You need to ensure that you don't communication gap between you and your stakeholders. So you have to be an effective communicator. And also, I will say that you need to have these leadership skills. Having the leadership skills is very crucial as well because like you mentioned earlier, managing stakeholders, taking one of your stakeholders or one of your team for lunch is part of leadership skills. Motivation. As a leader, you need to be able to motivate your team, right? So that's the leadership skill that I'm actually talking about. You should be able to make decisions. That's leadership skills should have some decision making skills and that should entails your leadership skills. So it's very important for you as a project manager. If you want to succeed, you need to have that leadership skills and also maybe risk management. Yeah, you need to be able to manage risk. There are lots of projects that you do that entails managing risk. You might go away with some project without encountering any issue or risk. But there are some projects that if those risk materializes, you need to be able to manage them effectively. So risk management is also very important. And lastly, I will say that stakeholder management that I mentioned earlier is also crucial. You need to be able to manage your stakeholders. So this effective communication, leadership skills, risk management, stakeholder management, these are very, very, very important. And also the knowledge of the project that you are managing as well. The technical knowledge. You might not have 100% knowledge, but you need to have the foundation of the technology that you are managing. It might not be a technology, it might be a different field entirely from IT, but you need to have this foundational knowledge about the project you're managing. That's very important as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Fuad, for sharing that as well. What I hear is you need to ensure you
Yeah.
have, risk management skill set. You need to have strong leadership skills, be an effective communicator. And when you say effective communicator, I believe you're talking about both written and verbal communication. And then, of course,
Yeah,
having a
sure.
technical.
Exactly.
Yes, and having a technical skill set is so important because you need, if you're working in the health domain, you need to have some experience to be able to connect, well with your development team, your technical team, and be able to speak their jargons, right? Same as well with when you are
Yeah.
in the pharmaceuticals, or you're in the IT
Mhm.
space, or you're in interior decoration, whatever space or domain you find yourself, you need to be able to speak the technical language. So thank you so much for sharing that, Fuad. And I'm sure that that has helped you succeed so far in your role as a project manager for over 6 years, right? Okay. Now,
Yeah,
can you
sure,
tell us,
sure, sure.
yes, so can you tell us about one incident that made you say one day that I'm done? I'm over and done with becoming a project manager. Tell us about that incident. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, when you use the word have done, like when you say that I don't want to become a project manager anymore, is that what you mean?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there are issues like, there's these statistics that I actually came across recently. They are trying to ask about project management, like project managers, what are the issues that you encounter? Which ones do you think you want to mark out that you don't even want to come across? And
Hmm.
the highest on that statistics shows that getting status reports, status updates from your team, you know, that is very crucial and it can be tiring when you're working, most especially when you're working on multiple projects. And I'm a kind of person that
Hmm.
handle different projects concurrently. I managed, over 200 projects simultaneously. So one thing that I feel sometimes can be tiring for me, they can actually make me to say I am done, is when you're trying to get status update from your team and you are not getting it. And they keep telling
Hmm.
you, we are busy. Sometimes some of them will tell you that they are busy. Sometimes they'll keep mute and they don't get response from them. And that is where the stakeholder management comes in. So I will say getting status update, right, from your
Hmm.
team, it's very crucial and it can be tiring sometimes. So when it becomes too much and you're not getting a response from your team, you can say you're done. Really, because if you don't have the status update on your project, if your team is not attending your meeting, then it's a problem for you to be able to manage your project. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for it. I can just imagine that. I can right now picture it. You get frustrated, give me the updates, and the
Yeah.
team is not responding, or they're telling you they're busy. It can be really
Yeah.
draining emotionally as well. All right. So just before we round up
Yeah.
today, I would like you to give us one word. Can you give us one word for struggling project managers out there? What is that one word for you?
Um, one word, resilient. You have to be resilient.
Mm. Hey, All right. One word is resilience. So, project managers out there, you've heard it from Fuad. It is certainly always high and low for project managers. It's never smooth sailing, and for any other career out there anyway. So you've heard it from him right from the horse's mouth. Over 6 years experience telling you the do's and don'ts, the highs and lows of project management. So one word is resilience. Keep being resilient, keep putting in the work, keep being committed, dedicated, understand the domain in which you work, and the sky will be your starting point. So thank you so much for it. It was really exciting having you on today's episode. And we hope to have you again very soon. Okay? That would be very nice, right?
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you for joining this
Yeah,
episode
thank you so
and
much,
have
Cindy,
a
for
good
having me.
one. See you again soon. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks. Yeah.